Hello, my name is Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for October 9th to October 15th of 2016. And on October 9th, we have the sun. You can see it denoted here by this black circle with a dot in it. It's in Libra. It's also in the 57th hexagram. And on the outside of the wheel, we have the chop mark for the 57, numbered from bottom to top. The 57 goes yin, yang, yang, yin, yang, yang. And then the 57th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here, this is the 57th gate of intuitive insight, the gentle, the extraordinary power of clarity, located in the splenic center, in an individual energy path in the knowing circuit called the channel of the brainwave, a design of penetrating awareness that connects to the 20th gate of the now, contemplation, recognition, and awareness in the now transforms understanding into right action. And being part of the integration channels, the 57 also forms the channel of power, a design of an archetype with the 34th gate of the power of the great, and the channel of the perfected form, a design of survival, with the 10th gate of the behavior of the self, treading. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person that I use as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following activated gates on October 9th. We've got the sun in the 57 with the earth in the 51. The north node is in the 64 with the south node in the 63. Mercury is in the 46th gate. Venus is in the 43rd gate. Mars is in the 58th gate. Jupiter is in the 18th gate. Saturn is in the 5th gate. Uranus is retrograde in the 42nd gate. Neptune is retrograde in the 37th gate. And Pluto is in the 38th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And we begin the week with one channel definition due to the transit field, with Mars in the 58th gate and Jupiter in the 18th gate. We have the channel of judgment, a design of insatiability, which will be with us until October 11th, bringing us the pressure to offer constructive criticism. This is a conditioning force that works best if invited, and its purpose is not personal, but for the good of the collective. This can influence us to become perfectionists with an insatiability to make improvements. Unfortunately, most people will not be aware of this influence and how to best apply it in their lives. So we'll see a lot of folks meeting resistance by trying to change their family and friends with little success, which leads to a sense of dissatisfaction. After all, true perfection does not exist, only ascending levels of mastery. And the defined splenic center brings intuition and well-being. And Ra warned that non-splenic people may let go of something that is good for them during a transit defining the splenic center. And for those without a defined root center, this transit definition can bring pressure, which may have folks hurrying to get things done in order to release their stress. October 9th begins with the sun in the second line of the 57th hexagram. The sun in the 57 too is described as cleansing. The clarity to establish proper values and ideals must be accompanied by resolute determination to maintain them. Exalted, perfected cleansing through inner realization. The possibility for proper values and ideals through intuition. Detrimented, a superficial cleansing that tends to hide the dirt underneath the carpet. The possibility that the depth of intuition will be treated superficially. But then later on the 9th, the sun then moves into the third line of the 57th hexagram at 5:09 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 21:09 UT. And the sun in the 57.3 is acuteness, exalted, perfected intelligence, where clarity eliminates doubt and ensures manifestation, the possibility of perfected intuition, no polarity, detrimented, no planet in detriment. And then also on the 9th, We've got Mercury, and it moves from the 46th gate in the hexagram, and it joins Jupiter in the 18. Mercury is communication. In mythology, he was the messenger of the gods, and Ra describes Mercury in human design as the expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also as music. And this is in the gate of correction work on what's been spoiled, the vigilance and determination to uphold and defend basic and fundamental human rights. And Mercury is detrimented in the first line of the 18 due to Jupiter being in the 18. And this is conservatism, the adherence to traditional patterns, despite and or in spite of changing circumstances. Detrimented, the patriarch whose rigidity guarantees deterioration, the potential to refuse to correct. And in the program, Mercury is about expression through communication. It influences the homogenized population to communicate about the themes of the gate and line that transiting Mercury inhabits. Its primary impact is psychological. It impacts the not-self mind, and it distorts the way in which we look at things in a way that can lead to action. It conditions people to think and communicate about the same things. And in the 18th gate, I'd expect to hear people talk about whether authority needs to be questioned or not. On the 10th, the sun then moves into the fourth line of the 57th hexagram at 3:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 1954 UT. The sun in the 57.4 is the director exalted. The mastery of relationships through clarity can maximize productivity, while the sensitivity to interrelationships will ensure harmony. The possible intuitive clarity to master relationships. Detrimented, a tendency given this position to be dictatorial rather than directional, with the gift of clarity to master relationships. The possibility of being intuitively dictatorial. On the 11th, the sun then moves into the fifth line of the 57th hexagram at 2:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 1440 UT. The sun in the 57.5 is described as progression, exalted, the natural ability to establish new forms while maintaining the powers of reevaluation and reexamination. This provides the clarity to examine the data and assess the process. The positive intuitive gift for evaluation. Detriment, the tendency to keep on keeping on. That can end up as a misguided missile. When in action, the intuition may become overwhelmed and unable to assess and evaluate its process. And then also on the 11th, Mars moves from the 58 to join Pluto in the 38, meaning that we no longer have these centers defined. Mars is in the 38th gate of the fighter opposition, the ability to preserve individual integrity through opposition to detrimental forces. And Mars is detrimented in the first line of the 38. Which is qualification, tempering opposition based on circumstances. Detrimented, the tendency to oppose as a general rule, the drive to fight as a general rule. And Mars in the program is about expression through mutation. It plays out in the mundane plane as change. And these are changes that take hold in the homogenized world as fads or trends. And this is really an illusion because the population is ready for the same changes at the same time because of transiting Mars. On the 12th, the sun then moves into the sixth line of the 57 at 1:24 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 1724 UT. The sun in the 57.6 is utilization, exalted, the acceptance that clarity is a double-edged sword. There are situations where understanding cannot lead to rectification. where there is no answer and only the possibility that the intuition can make the best out of a difficult situation. Detrimented, where clarity points to a problem one is unable because of circumstances to solve, a tendency to anger and frustration that provokes inevitable futile action. The possibility that when intuition cannot solve a problem, a tendency to frustration and anger. And also on the 12th, Mercury moves from the 18th gate, leaving behind Jupiter, and it moves into the 48th gate. So, as I mentioned before, Mercury is about communication. So what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 48th? Well, perhaps depth that comes from understanding the patterns that resulted from the judgmental process when Mercury was in the 18. This is the gate of depth, the well, the necessary and qualitative foundation that is a prerequisite to establishing the common good. And Mercury in the first line of the 48 is in the line of insignificance, exalted, the instinctive recognition of what is practical and deserves attention, a taste for recognizing what is practical and deserves attention. Detrimented, an ego tendency to apply energy to trivial considerations, a taste for trivia. And so on the 13th, the sun then moves from the 57 to the 32. And with that, the Earth moves from the 51 to the join Uranus in the 42. And so the Earth is in the gate of growth, increase, the expansion of resources, which maximizes the development of full potential. And this shift happens at 12:08 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 16:08 UT, with the sun in the 32nd gate of continuation, 32nd gate of continuity, duration. The only thing that endures is change. And the sun is exalted in the first line of the 32. Which is conservation, exalted, a life-sustaining respect and attention to all aspects of the process, the potential to develop the instinct through detailed attention to the process. And as we move from the 57 to the 32, we enter a splenic gate of supporting tribal continuity. All change begins with individuals. The tribe and the collective don't want change, and the 32nd gate is one of the most conservative. This is about material values and fear of failure. It understands the values of things. It fears not having enough resources for the tribe, so it looks for people with talent and ambition. The 32 is aware that everything is temporary and asks what can be done to make the good things last. We're still in the quarter of duality, so gate 32 is a gate of relationships. And in the flow of change, one needs others. The 32 is looking for the other that can be supportive materially. It wants good relationships to last forever and fears that one day they will be over. Its harmonic is the 54th gate, root gate, which is and the pressure for material success, and its polarity is the 42nd gate of the 42nd gate in the sacral center of generating in cycles, the gate of endings. So with the sun in the 32nd gate, we are aware that no matter what we're attached to, eventually it's going to end. This is the third variation of the cross of Maya, which is essential for our development. We need to complete the process as we are finishing up the quarter of duality, getting ready for the quarter of mutation. We master the Maya through our strategy and authority. The 42 influences us to seek closure. Maya can bring confusion, and with the sun in the 32, we have the fear of failure, which can influence the not self to continue to put resources into things that are not correct for the person, rather than facing failure and finding completion through the gate of growth. Change is inevitable, and the splenic center can hold on to things that are not good for you, undefined splenic center. So your strategy and authority would really guide you as what needs to be completed and what still has value while the sun is in the 32nd gate. Also on the 13th, Venus moves from the 43rd gate to the 14th. In human design, Venus is about values, morality, natural law, and how we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us, according to Ra. And Venus is in the 14th gate of power skills, possession in great measure, the accumulation and retention of power through skilled interaction, coupling grace with control. And Venus in the first line of the 14th hexagram is money isn't everything. The the recognition that wealth has its own problems, exalted the lust for liquor, tempered by higher principles. The key to manifesting power is higher principles. Detrimented the delusion that you can throw money at problems. Energy alone can never be the key. In the program, Venus is about control through maintaining the status quo in a way in which we operate with each other. And we experience the transiting planets through the Maya, and we're not here to avoid the Maya, but to embrace it as yourself by following your strategy and authority. On the 14th, the sun then moves into the second line of the 32nd hexagram at 10:51 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 14:51 UT. The sun in the 32-2 is described as restraint, exalted the control of power for the benefit and enhancement of harmony, the potential transformation that may be beneficial to others, detriment a tendency in frustration, particularly from a position of strength, to social withdrawal rather than persistent control, the frustration with controls or being controlled. And then on the 15th, the sun then moves into the third line of the 32 at 9:34 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 13:34 UT. The sun in the 32-3 is lack of continuity, exalted indecision, and persistent reevaluation that only because of his basic intelligence manages to endure. Indecision in times of transformation, detrimented an over-reliance on traditionally legitimized standards that in times of change can be totally out of step and suffer unexpected humiliation, a lack of instinct in times of transformation. And then also on the 15th, Mercury moves from the 48 to the 57. As we talked about earlier, Mercury is about communication, so in the 57th gate, we might expect folks to be communicating about intuitive insight that can penetrate to the core of the now, because this is the gate of intuitive insight, the gentle, the extraordinary power of clarity. Mercury in the first line of the 57 is in the line of confusion, exalted, the gift of penetrating to the inner meaning that ensures timely action, the possibility of the intuition penetrating to the inner meaning. Detrimented, where feelings are no substitute for clarity and can lead to indecision, the possibility that confusion will confusion will overpower the intuition. Anyway, I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be for October 16th, 2016. Should be available on the 15th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. And you can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube. Or encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose. And invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine, in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. Just a heads up, things have been lean around here. We haven't had many readings or many donations lately. We did have one donation towards the neutrino forecast. So on October 22nd, there will be the final offering of the care and feeding of a New World Age report. We're just going to have to see how things are going as far as how much longer we'll be offering the neutrino forecast. Anyway, as always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries, their synthesis and application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. All my best to everybody. Peace.